Uh, I'm thankful for the music we heard today from the children and young, and Fika also helping them. Thank you for the service. Thank you, Brother Roger, too, for your special song. We appreciate that. And today I want to share with you an important message. And the title for this message is "The Time is Now." And it will be based on Romans chapter 13, verse 11, as Brother Wayne was reading. And do this knowing the time, that now it is a high time to awake out of sleep. For now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. In January 12, 2007, a world-famous and prestigious violin named Joshua Bell participated in a social experiment organized by the Washington Post. He went to a subway dressing as a normal person with a really expensive violin that cost around $3 million. He played there for 45 minutes. Only 7 people stay for more than 1 minute. And the total amount of money he earned for those 45 minutes was $32.17. 3 days before that happened, he was playing music in a concert. And each entry for seeing Joshua Bell play the violin cost $100. Only one person recognized him from this experience in the subway. And the lesson we learn from this is, do you think there is something happening before your eyes that you cannot understand the importance of it? Can you imagine Joshua Bell, this important violinist, playing for 45 minutes, hundreds of people passing beside him, nobody knew who was him, and 3 days before, hundreds and hundreds of people were paying $100 to hear him just play his violin. So the question is, do you know the time that you're living right now? Paul in Romans 13:11 saying, knowing the time. Do you know the time you are living in? Paul does not refer to a chronological time, but to a time called in Greek kairos. Is the opportune time, the prophetic moment. God's prophetic clock is ticking the final minutes. There is a quote from Ellen G. White that says, "We are living in the most solemn period of this world history." Let me read that again. We are living in the most solemn period of this world history. The eternal destiny of souls is being decided. Our own future well-being and the salvation of other souls depend on the course we now pursue. We are living in the most solemn period of this world history. Do you believe this? You don't look like you believe this. We would like to think that our ancestors live in a better moment than we live. When the big civilizations are Egypt, Babylon, Greece, Rome, they took over. Or maybe in the Industrial Revolution, or maybe in the ages of the lights, or maybe in the golden age of this country, how they like to call. We would like to think, oh, maybe they were living in the most important time of history. But actually, you and me, we are living in the most important time of history. Interesting. The scriptures and war events show us that we are in the end of the time. The prophecies of Matthew 24 and Luke 21 are being fulfilled before our eyes. Wars, natural disaster, moral decay, a spiritual indifference. This is the time God calls us to live. Not to fear, but to act. You know, there's people who like to speak about prophecy to make you fear. But God don't ask us to study prophecy to fear. He wants us to study prophecy so we can act. There's a difference. Fear will make you stay in the place you are, trembling. I'm not moving. It's dangerous outside. I'm not going anywhere. God is not looking for this. God is looking to wake you up, make you act, make you be a disciple for Him. Look what this famous preacher say, Charles Spurgeon. When the sailor sees a light in the darkness, he does not see it to analyze or to question where it comes from. He clings to it because he knows it can be a difference between life and death. So too, when the Spirit shows us the time we're living in, it is not for debating, but is for acting. Can you imagine a sailor in his boat and he see a light coming and he call every person and he say, do you think that light that is coming is from another boat? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's an insect or someone with a lighter. Do you think he does that? No. When he see a light, he see the danger and he start to act because he knows their lives is at risk. And we have to do the same. If we understand the times we are living, we don't need to start debating about that. We need to start acting about it. So Paul, the first thing is asking you to do is, do you know the time you're living in? That's the first thing. Do you know the time? And now, the second phrase, he says, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. So it's time to awake from a sleep. The sleep Paul speaks about is the spiritual sleep. Yep. The attitude of indifference, comfort, and routine that make us be asleep. Jesus spoke of this sleep in the parable of the virgins in Matthew 25. All the virgins went to sleep, but only 5 were prepared when the bridegroom came. Sleep is not just open sin. It is also ceasing to watch, ceasing to seek God fervently. So you may think a spiritual sleep is someone who is far from God doing bad things. But I'm here to tell you it is not. It is also a person who is a spiritual indifference. It's also a person who is not seeking God with all his heart and his mind and his soul. That's why Apostle Paul on Ephesians chapter 5 verse 14 say, "Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light." And also there's a story in Matthew chapter 26 verse 40 when Jesus asked a question to his disciples. Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping and said to Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour?" Now, I want you to think about this story. Jesus was praying. He went away from his disciples. He came back to see his disciples. And when he found his disciples, they were doing what? Sleeping. Yeah. It's nothing bad about that. You know, if you're tired, it's really late, you've been working the entire day, you deserve what? To sleep. Yeah, it's not bad. So the question is, why Jesus was not happy with them sleeping? They deserve it. And the answer is simple. Because on the time they were living, it was in a special moment. He was hours away from being crucified. And now he is short also in time for coming soon again. So the problem was not the disciples sleeping. The problem was the disciples sleeping in a very crucial time. And I believe that's the same problem that we have today. The problem is not we are sleeping. The problem is that we're living in the most solemn time in history, and we are not acting according to the time we are living in. So Paul is saying to you, know the time you're living in. And now that you know the time, it's time to what? To wake up. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 6 say, "Therefore let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober." And there is a proverb chapter 6 verses 9 and 11 say, "How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When you will rise from your sleep? A little sleep here, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come, and you like a polar, and your need like an armed man." There is no way we will make it through if we are sleeping. As the same way, one person who decides to not go to his work and stay at home sleeping, he will not earn anything. Can you imagine they will pay you for you staying at home and sleeping? Who would do this? Nobody. Nobody. Same in the spiritual life. If we don't make efforts, if we don't move forward with our lives, if we don't take seriously the call that God is doing for us, there is no way we will move forward. Ellen G. White says, Satan knows well that all who neglect prayer and the study of the scriptures will be overcome by his attacks. If you don't take Bible study and prayer seriously, you will not overcome the attacks of Satan. That's Great Controversy, page 528. And she also said in Selected Messages, Volume 1, many who profess to be waiting for the Lord's coming are sleeping. They must awake and make earnest efforts to prepare for the great event of the future. She said many. Said, 1%, 10% of the church. Many in our churches are sleeping, and they need to awake and make earnest efforts to prepare for the event of the future. Again, Charles Spurgeon said, when the clock says it's time to wake up, do not argue with the clock. Do not look at it and say, please give me 5 minutes more. Do we do that in the morning? The time to sleep has passed. It's time to dress, work, and be alive. Do not argue with the clock. There's people who have big plans for their lives. And they even ask God, Lord, please don't send Jesus yet. I have many things to do. I need to go get married. I'm looking for this dream, get this job, go to this university, have these friends, go have fun outside. Yeah, there's people who don't want Jesus to come because they believe they have better plans. Please do not argue with the clock. So Paul say, know the times you are living in. Wake up. And then he said to us, because salvation is nearer than the time we believe. Revelation chapter 22 verse 12 says, and behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give to everyone according to his work. The time of grace is about to close. The investigating judgment has already begun, according to Daniel chapter 7. And soon every case will be decided. The investigating judgment already started. They are already studying the lives of the people who are already dead. Yeah, taking decisions about them. So probably my grandfathers, their lives are already being decided if they will not or they will go to heaven. And soon, our lives also will be investigated. So the Lord is asking us to wake up. Last date event say page 231. Soon, no one knows when the last offer of mercy will be made to human beings. Every case will be decided for the life or death. The time to prepare is now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. Is when? Now. So the question is, what we should do? We need to know the times. We need to wake. We need to know that our salvation is nearer. And the question is, what should we do? And the first thing I want to tell you, you need to watch and pray according to Luke chapter 21:36. Watch therefore and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things, Jesus said. Watch and pray. Do you take time to pray every day? Do you make sure that you bring into God everything that is in your heart as He is your friend? Are you opening your heart to God every day in the morning? Are you bringing to Him all your difficulties, challenges for the day? You know, Martin Luther said that the more things he had to do, the more time he take to pray. You would think it's the opposite. You know, I have many things to do, I don't have time to pray. But he says it's the contrary. More things I have to do, more time I need to pray. Because he believed that the more he prays, the more God will help him. And that's true. Have you go through a day without praying? It's hard. It's hard. Everything seems harder when you don't ask God for help. So prayer is really important. Second thing you need to do, live in daily consecration. You know, this happened to me. You wake up in the morning, you look the Lord, you study your Bible, you pray, you give your heart to Jesus, and then suddenly, during the things we're doing during the day, we lose sign that we are Christians. It's like we have amnesia. Yeah, we have bad memory. And we need to remind ourselves every time. Yeah, it's not only in the morning that I look for the Lord. It's a daily, continual communion with Him. Romans 12, verses 1 and 2 say, present our bodies as a living sacrifice. God is asking you to be a living sacrifice. In other words, you need to live in a way that can honor God's name. In your workplace, among your family, every place you go, every person you meet with, you need to be a living sacrifice. Third thing I want to tell you, share the gospel message urgently. Matthew 28 said, go and make what? Disciples. Go and make disciples. If you are not involved doing God's work, I'm telling you, your life is on risk. You need to be involved in God's work. If you see Acts of the Apostles and the life of Paul and all the people that were living in that time, they were all involved in missionary work. They didn't care about the difficulties they have to face. You know, I remember one pastor was telling us, we will not do any more public evangelists because it's really hard. People say bad things to us and we don't like that. And I was thinking, it was not the same in the time of Apostle Paul. They were treating Paul in a really nice way. Oh, come on, Paul. Come inside. Talk about Jesus. Here is dinner for you. Take lunch with us. We love you so much. Come all the time you want. They were doing that to Paul. You have to run. They need to take him out from the walls of the city because they were going to stone him. He was running from one place to another one. Do you think the work of Apostle Paul was comfortable? He had a big list of all the things that he was facing. Persecution. Yes, they stoned him. He had to, one time their boat in the water got destroyed. Yes, they beat him. He was in prison on several occasions. Who want to be like the Apostle Paul? Please raise your hand. Can you imagine if you go and apply for a job and they say to you, okay, we'll pay you really good, but here are the things you need to do. They will stone you. You will be in prison several times. You will be in open sea without any hope. It's a hard job. It's a hard job. God is not calling us to something easy, but He knows that we really need this calling and this work. So be involved in sharing the gospel with people. And the last thing, have constant communion with God. Have constant communion with God. This is the secret of the big man in the Bible. We admire Daniel, Joseph, Isaac, all these people. They were humans, normal human beings like you and me, but they have a secret. Their secret was constant communion with God. You know, Joseph, when he was sold by his brothers to be a slave, patriarchs and prophets said that he was going away from his home. He could see his home from far away. Saw his home from far away. And he knew that he was not going to be close to his father anymore. And in that moment, he consecrated his life to God, saying, Father in heaven, I already lost my dad. I don't know when I'm coming back. But now you are my father. And he decided to have a constant communion with his Father in heaven. Then you read in the Bible, everything he did, God prospered him. Why? Because he had a constant communion with God. When you have that, you have God's power in a really short access. You have the Almighty taking care of your back. You know, rich people who have many money, they have bodyguards. They pay for them. And some of them, they are huge, really big bodyguards. You will not even try to be close to these rich people because you know you can get in trouble with this bodyguard. But I assure you that having communion with God is way better and powerful than having all the bodyguards you can have. So have constant communion with God. Look at this quote in Christian Service. The time is short. We must work diligently. Every soul that has accepted Christ is called to work for the salvation of others. We have no time to lose. The end is near. The time of probation is about to close. Awake, awake. The end is nearer than many believe. Spurgeon said, a man can run to the station, but if he arrives a minute after the train has left, no matter how much he shuts and waves his arms, he will not be able to be on board. So it with the time of grace. Do not be late. Christ is coming soon. The conclusion, dear brother and sister, the time is now. Is not yesterday, is not tomorrow. The time is now. when they were asking one of our pioneers, what was his name? George Miller. They were mocking him, saying, when is Jesus coming after the great disappointment? When is Jesus coming? You know, his answer was, now. If you accept him in your heart, he's coming now. Romans 13:11, read it again, say, and to do this, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake of a sleep, for now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. Today the Lord calls you to be awakened, to commit to Him without reservation, to prepare yourself and help others to get prepared. May the Holy Spirit awaken our souls. May we live as children of light, with our eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. And to do this, knowing the time, that now is the high time to be awake. My desire, dear sister and dear brother, is for you to be awakened, to know the times you are living in, to take seriously the call to be a Christian, to fulfill the work that God is calling us to do. There is people dying, sharing the gospel in different countries that are difficult to have access in. Muslim countries, where you are not able to walk with even your Bible in the streets. There is people sharing the gospel in those places, risking their lives for Jesus. The question is, will you be awakened? Will you recognize the times you are living in? Will you take hold of the call that God is making to you? That's the question that you need to answer. May God help us to recognize the time we're living in, to be awakened, because our salvation is nearer than when the time we believe. God bless.